My name is Marlon the Toit, professional wildlife photographer and safari guide. So, you are packing for somewhere cold, you're packing for an expedition, you're getting ready to go into a place that's quite remote and far, tough to get to, a place that's challenging. You've come to the right place. Now, I'm here to make a video for you, for my clients that join me on safari, and just for anyone wanting to answer some of the questions and challenges that I faced over the last few years, traveling to the Himalayas and even places like Patagonia. Now, this video, the gear I'm about to show you, is mostly for cold weather regions, or exclusively for cold weather regions. And being from Africa, I live in South Africa, it's always been a challenge in several different ways. The one is to understand what gear I should use. You know, we don't get temperatures as cold as that over here. So I've really had to do research over the last 4 or 5 years to try to figure out a system that works, or to find gear that works for me as a traveler and explorer. The second challenge I always have is what gear to take with and how to fit it. So, you know, not only do we not have the kind of cold weather gear here in South Africa, and when we do, it's very tough to find or very expensive, but also to fit the gear, to actually see if it works for you, that's almost impossible because I can't get my hands on the gear. And it's been really difficult to try to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But I feel I've kind of come to grips with a system that I kind of enjoy for the coldest place I'd say would be the Himalayas, down to about minus 20, 25 degrees Celsius. Maybe sometimes a bit colder as well. My first trip, I clearly remember, was a disaster. I was frozen. I did research as good as I could, but my clothes were not great. My shoes were too cold. I didn't have the right jacket. My hands were frozen. Honestly, it wasn't even enjoyable. And that's the thing. If you're going to do this, do it properly. That's always the way I tackle a task. And, you know, after that first trip, I said, I'll only continue doing cold places if I am better prepared. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It really isn't. It's not enjoyable. You're cold all the time, and you're just not getting out of the experience what you should. So I feel this year I'm the most prepared that I've been for any of these expeditions, and I'm going to share some of the gear with you, why I've chosen it, and why I think it'll work for the upcoming trip. Himalayan temperatures now in January, it's the coldest time up in that region of the year, January. And this year, interestingly, there hasn't been snow, but temperatures still look pretty cold. About minus 15 to minus 20 in the city of Leh. Once we go into the mountains, it probably will drop a little bit. There's some wind chill factor as well, which, you know, it can be minus 15, but once that wind picks up, it really gets brutal. So I think I've prepared pretty much as well as I can. This is by no means, you know, the be-all or end-all or holy grail of reviews for cold weather gear and destinations. And this is only part one. This is my experience, you know, an African guy working his way into these cold areas, and the way that I found that works. Part one will be the clothes, part two will be my camera gear. So if you enjoy photography, then by all means come and check in for part two as well to get a better grip and understanding of what I take with in terms of the photographic side. But for now, let's jump in. I'm going to start from the feet up. Okay, so let's start with that. That's been my biggest challenge, is to find shoes that truly work. Now, I've gone through a series of different boots. The first time I went through, I wore lowers, which just were not insulated enough. They were not warm. I went last year and I wore oboes, and it worked well, but I found the toe area to be not insulated enough. The boots wore great, they were comfortable, I could scale rocks with them, and really I enjoyed wearing the boots, but I just found that they just were not warm enough on the toes. And that's, I promise you, if your feet are cold, you're going to hate the experience. I remember the first time I saw my now friend and operator there, Bezad, he had these huge boots on, and I kind of like scoffed at him and thought, yes, that's a bit overboard. And now I've gone and done the same. You know, my third trip to the Himalayas, I'm now wearing different boots once again, and I went with very big boots this time around. These boots are by Baffin, and have a look at them. So these are the Baffin Apex boots. They look great. They are big. I'm not going to lie. These are by far, by a long shot, the biggest shoes that I own. But they are going to work. And what I love about them is they are properly insulated. So let me show you. Once I get into the inner section here, if I take this out, it actually has got an insulated boot inside. So this shell is great because it will do a great job for me, which is ultimately what I want. But it is fully waterproof, fully windproof, and everything from the outside in. Nothing's going to happen here. It's great for me. That's exactly what I want. Once I reach inside, you'll see that it's got this, you won't be able to see exactly in there, but there's a bit of silver lining in there. Now that's like a shock blanket material where it keeps heat in and keeps the cold out. And this, I love this this footbed, this inner shoe or footbed, basically. Insole, sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. I love this insole because it's like a honeycomb mesh material. You can see there, you can even see through it a little bit. And this material, it's quite a thick insole. And what it does is it traps heat between your foot and the actual insole as well, which is great. That silver insulated insole. And I think it's really going to work and keep my foot warm. And I love the idea of that. It provides some extra cushioning, and I think it will be nice and warm. And then this is an insulated bootie that goes into the shoe itself. So this will literally be inside of the shoe, and this is going to be warm. I'm quite excited to try this out. So this two-part boot, I think, is going to work very, very well for what I'm going to do there. So that's from a warmth perspective. It's great, and I really look forward to testing this setup. Always remember, when you're buying winter boots, to buy a size up. You want to buy one bigger size. It might look a bit ridiculous, but you're trapping again a warm layer of air, and that's ultimately what you want to do. You want to not have things too tight or fitted, because then you are letting yourself in for a cold experience. And just look at that sole. That is what I'm talking about. That is great. Really aggressive tread. And considering the Himalayas, if there's snow, you'll be grippy, and that terrain is properly grippy. So this boot for me, even though it's actually massive, is exactly what I'm after. It's going to be comfortable, and most importantly, I'm going to be warm. Now, that's the one boot I'm taking with on this trip. Secondly, I want a boot that's a bit more nimble. And last year, I wore a shoe from Vivo Barefoot, the Forest Tracker. And it's a lot smaller, as you can see. And it's not insulated, but I do find it to be warm. It's very cushiony or thick, the actual material. Underneath the leather, it's difficult to describe, but it's kind of like spongy, and I find it traps enough warm air. And with a nice sock, maybe like a heated pad of sorts inside, they're quite comfortable. And I love wearing them when I'm in the city. So when we explore Leh, we look at some monasteries. I love wearing them there. And they're just comfortable to wear. I don't think it'll be for the coldest of days, certainly not. But just in the city itself, exploring a little bit, around camp perhaps, these are nice. And I really love these shoes. I've worn them to the Patagonia earlier this year, and they worked quite well. There you go, sorry for the focus taking so long. I've worn them in Patagonia. You can see that sole pattern. That thing is really grippy. I've really bought into the barefoot shoe designs. I love wearing them. They're comfortable. They work well for me. And this is, you can see that it's really flexible and just, it's such a comfortable shoe. And I love wearing this. So I think it's really going to do well for me where I am. Not on all the days, but certainly in the city, the exploration. I don't want to be wearing this boot walking around the city. It's just, you can see the size difference there. It's going to be quite uncomfortable. So for the city, this is great. Maybe 1 or 2 days if it's not too cold. For the most part, this. It's also, you've got to consider what activity you're doing. For what I'm going to be doing, I'll be mostly stationary. So sitting, watching, scanning. There might be a bit of hiking, but it's minimal. So this boot is a great boot for exactly that, when I'm not too busy running around, when you're sitting down, and that's when you start getting cold, when you're not moving too much, like moderate activity to low activity. Whereas this boot is great once I'm running around a bit. I'm also planning on going for a run or two while I'm there. I'll run in these when I do that. So taking them with for a purpose, for the city, for a run or two, and should weather warm up enough that I can wear them with thick socks or some heated pads. Then the third shoe that I'll have with me is a bootie. Don't laugh at these. It's great. When you've had a long day in the field, you've been walking in your boots all day, looking at snow leopards, scaling rocks, and just in general, you've been outside. It's so nice to put these on. They are also insulated. They're from Outdoor Research, this particular brand. I've just got them, but they look great, and they match my new camo fleece jacket. But it's a nice shoe, and I think it's going to work pretty well. From Outdoor Research, it was easy to order online, and the size is great. Also sized up one, just to have space for the shoe and some socks. So you can see, for me, this is going to be a great shoe, and just literally around camp. It's got a nice rubber sole, and it's got some support here, so I think it's going to do pretty well, and look forward to wearing this around camp. Insulated, nice and warm, and great for indoors. Those are the three shoes and my solution to cold feet. I genuinely think, you know, with the Baffin Apex boots, it's the hottest boot that I think you can buy, or one of the hottest boots you can buy. I think they're rated down to minus 70 degrees Celsius. And let me tell you, if your feet are cold, you're going to hate the experience. So invest in good, warm shoes. And honestly, these are going to last me a lifetime. I'm pretty sure of it. You'll see that there are some cubes stacked out here, and I'll just talk about that now before I dig into them. I haven't traveled with cubes. I know many of my guests have. I have some friends that do, but it really is a good option. And I've decided this year to invest in some packing cubes to make my life a bit easier, and I really think it's going to do exactly that. The cubes are great to keep you organized, keeps your clothes separate, and it helps you to pack more and save space ultimately. That is very important. So on from the boots, what's next? The socks. So I've got a couple of different options for socks. If I dig into my cube, socks are important because you want a sock that wicks moisture, absorbs it, doesn't get soggy or wet, or picks up odor. And the best socks by far are merino wool in my experience. And I've got this whole goodie bag here. You can see within, it's stacked with some different socks, different colored socks. You can see them there, all right? And ultimately, they range in thickness. This is a medium thickness. I have some really thick socks in here as well. And the whole goal with these is to wear on different days. So these are worn before by a company called Bridgedale, a British brand, and I found that they've worked quite well for me in the past. It's kind of like an in-between in terms of heat. Now, I just picked up these from Baffin. I think they're going to be great. It's a bit more of a bigger sock. So you can see there, this is a long sock. It's quite a thick sock, and this will go with the long, big boots. I think it's going to do well. And the key is just various thickness. Now, because the socks are so thick, you want to prepare accordingly. You have a thick sock. If you have a fitted or tight-fitting boot, you're going to struggle, and it's not going to be great for you. You're not going to enjoy it. So hence the size up in the boot. And another solution to socks and to moisture as well are these little socks. So I also have thin little socks that I put underneath my thicker sock. This is very thin. It's also merino wool, and they just slip in. I put them on first, then I put the bigger sock. And so I wear one of these a day, one pair a day. I take with 10 pairs, and they just cycle through, and they keep my thicker socks fresh, which I wear twice usually. Each one twice, this one once. So it's a good solution to keep your feet clean and healthy. These socks you can exchange, and then your other thicker socks you can wear at least a couple of times. It saves you on taking excess socks, and it just helps for packing and space management. So that's my sock system. Pretty easy to understand and straightforward. What's the next layer up that I wear is a base layer. Now, I've been able to get all of my base layers, which I'm about to ruin, into one bag like this. Inside my pouch, my packing cube is 8 long sleeve base layers and 5 pants, which I wear twice each, which works out well. The top I change almost daily, and it all fits in here, which is fantastic. These cubes are a game changer, and it really will make your life easy. Base layers, pretty self-explanatory. It's just either a shirt or a pants. My base layers are merino. I wear long sleeve base layers, which for me work great. And you get various. You get the turtleneck, like I know that you have to zip up to the top, which I love. It gives you extra warmth. You get different thickness levels. I usually take about 30% are thicker, and then kind of a mid-sized thickness that I wear mostly. I have with me a North Face base layers, and a brand I really love is ICEBreaker. It's a New Zealand brand, and I love their base layers. Nice and warm, top quality. They rate themselves as the best base layers around. This is what the packaging looks like, really nice, which I think is pretty standard for most base layers today. But you can see they're 100% pure merino, and also saying the world's best base layer system. But I do enjoy this, and it worked very well for me before. So merino base layers are a must. I change my shirt, the top, almost daily. The pants I wear twice, and it works pretty well. So that's the base layer. The next one is one that I've had a challenge with, but fortunately I think I picked well right from the beginning. What pants do you wear for an expedition like this? It's a good question, and there are a lot of pants out there. I've done a lot of research trying to find which system, which pants will work best for me. And you know, from the beginning, I've worn Fjall Raven. They have these keb trousers, which for me have been the best. You know, I've really enjoyed them, and for various reasons. This is the pants, just so you can kind of get a view of them there. Come in a bit closer so you can see. As mentioned, all of these will be linked below in case you want to go check out the different products. And I love them because they are strong, but they have some stretch. So this is nice and warm, but it's stretchy. And then they have great knee protection. You can see this is actually a layer on top of another layer, which I love. And it's got some ankle adjustments here. It's got a clip in for your boots so your pants don't ride up. You can adjust the levels and the layers here with this belt. And all in all, for me, these pants have worked very well. I find that they are not too hot, but not too warm. When I start walking or hiking, they actually do get quite warm, considering you have a base layer underneath. But they have these great zips right up on the side here, on top, and a zipper system below. So these zips really help you to be able to reduce some of the heat that comes through. But for me, great pants, great pockets, you know, big deep pocket on the side here. And just work very, very well. Deep pockets on front, deep pocket on the leg as well, and they sit in a great position, so they're not out of the way, and still allows you to flex and bend whenever you wear these in the field. I never wear them on safari because they just are a little bit too hot for me. But the material, G1000, as they have labeled it, it's a strong material. It works exceptionally well, and for me, just the best pants that I've worn. There might be warmer pants. I know you get really fully insulated pants, but I find for where we go with the base layer and the pants over, they work pretty well, and they've got me covered for what I need. I have had a few days where I wish I had something a lot warmer, like extreme warmth, and I didn't, and I was pretty freaking cold with the base layer and that pants. And it's only really been when extreme winds tend to pick up. Now, in case that happens, I have a strategy for that, or a solution for that. Now, in this bag, we'll talk about this in a little while. I have something this is from Canada Goose, and it's snow pants, or really warm pants, and they work extremely well. They actually have been too hot for last year's trips, but they have a great strong lining where you need it, very big for your boots to go over. It cuts, I mean, you can go read about all the features, but for me, I do take these with, because on the days that it's extremely cold, again, you're standing, you're watching these cats, looking up at a mountain, the wind can really cut through you, especially when it's down at minus 20, minus 15, minus 20. With the wind, it gets cold. So these pants I always take with just in case, and they are just there on standby if I need them. I haven't used them a whole lot. Like I said, I've just tested them. They are really warm, so they work. And that's the system that I wear for pants. So, all right, so that covers the lower half of my body, what I wear, what I keep myself warm with. The top half. Naturally, the top half gets a base layer. Like I mentioned earlier, the brand I really love is ICEBreaker. Then next up, now I typically wear 3, maybe 4 layers. Over the base layer, you can wear a t-shirt, a nice cotton t-shirt. For me, that's worked pretty well. You don't need to go over the top. Just a good warm t-shirt if you want. If it's a warmer day or you feel you're going to be hiking a bit, the base layer is plenty enough. And you can go with 3 layers. Let's just say I do a 4th layer. So then it'll be the base layer, a t-shirt or a shirt, any kind of shirt you want over that. Then as a 3rd layer, potentially a 2nd, depending on the warmth on the day, you can wear either something very technical, like this is a Softshell jacket that I bought from Outdoor Research specifically for this trip. It's a great color, not just the boots, and it's nice and insulated with full power, I think, of 800, which is great. So I know it's going to be warm, and it really is warm. Try to wear it on some cooler days here, but it's pretty hot. But it's not too thick, so I chose a kind of mid-weight design. It really isn't thick, but it's well made, and I kind of love the size and the fit of it. It does have a hood, just in case I wear this as a standalone. I want to keep myself a bit warmer, but it works. It's a great layer and an important one to be insulated, because you'll find often when you're walking, you'll take your outer jacket, which I'll speak about now, you'll take that off. It gets too hot to wear it, and you at least, in the very least, open it up. But then this layer is your next line of defense. So it's good to have something warm and insulated, in my opinion, just at least something warm. And this layer works very, very well underneath that outer layer. What I've also gone for, in addition to the Outdoor Research, is this knitted jersey or sweater, jersey essentially. So this is from Vollebak, one of my favorite brands in the whole wide world. It's really well made. I'll share a link below. You really should go read up on Vollebak, and you can see it kind of follows the contours of what your muscles would do and where your arms would be. Really great design. I love this jersey. It's warm, let me tell you. It's waterproof. It's made using a special technique and special material with properties that do not absorb water easily, almost in a manner that the old school sailors used to use. And I love this jersey so much, and I can't wait to wear it. I think it's probably what I'll wear most of the time. It's got a bit of a higher neck, so to keep you a little bit warmer, but it's going to work well. So I'll probably alternate between this and the Outdoor Research Softshell Jacket, but I can see myself probably wearing this more often. And again, it's not overly thick and will slot in nicely underneath my outer shell. So you have a base layer, potentially a t-shirt or a shirt underneath your base layer. Then this will be your 3rd layer. It's still to keep you protected from outside elements like rain, snow, wind, and cold, which this is well suited for, as well as the soft shell. And then we get onto the 4th layer. Now, probably the most important layer to consider. As is your pants, technical, stretchy, able to deal with water, rain, snow, the jacket is much the same. So I've been wearing this jacket from Canada Goose. It's their Expedition Parka. It's a legendary jacket in every way. Yes, it's bright, but I figured I'd go with red in case I want to get stuck on the mountainside. At least you'll see me from a helicopter. But it works very, very well. I've worn it in Patagonia, worn it in the Himalayas, and I was absolutely toasty underneath this. It's big, it's a size bigger. Be careful, Canada Goose. This specific jacket runs big, but I'm a big guy, so it worked out for me. But it does run big, and that is exactly what you want if you're going to layer up below it. Do not buy this too tight. You you will regret it. So it's got to be a size bigger so you can fit your base layer and your underneath, you know, like the jersey or a soft shell underneath it, and still be comfortable. You don't want this too tight. It's one of the mistakes I made. The first time I went, it was too tight and I was frozen to the bone. So this jacket, why it works for me, many reasons. It's warm. Yes, I know that they have coyote fur on the rim here of the hood. It is something that they've changed a lot and worked on. I know they've just brought out a new version of this jacket without the trim. This is now called the Heritage Jacket, the one with the coyote fur. And they've done a lot, Canada Goose as a brand, to not go after fur anymore. They use fur that's still left. I don't think they, I lack the right word for it. But basically, I know the company is working towards that. But I wanted, I was very cold on the last trip and I wanted a jacket for life. This was what they had and I went with that, and it is an animal product, but it's now sustainably sourced as it always was with them, I believe, but don't want to make too much of a thing about it. Just to let you know, they do have the option now without this, but it does work and it does keep you warm, especially on windy days. So, even just sitting here with this jacket over my legs, I'm getting hot. It's got a great hood to protect you from wind and from elements. It's fully waterproof, fully windproof. It's got a great system inside once you open it up, also to lock in and trap in heat from your body. It has great big pockets, all of which you'll need out in the field. You don't think about it now, but when you have gloves on, you open this up, you stick your gloves in there, you can really get your gloves in to find things. You can pack it. It's got pockets inside. Everything is fleece lined as well, so to keep you warm. It's got a very long stretchy arm bands here at your arms to keep the wind from coming in. And this is nice and big as well, which I love because your gloves can fit and kind of fill this gap in here. So just overall for me, a jacket it's an expedition jacket. It's made for researchers out in the field, guys who take their job seriously. You can see that it looks great, big pockets all around. Nice thing to hang it up here once you get inside and indoors. It has everything you need, and you really can't ask for much more in a jacket. It's designed for the cold, and it is designed to work and keep you comfortable. And that is my outer shell. Best invest in a quality outer jacket. It's the barrier between you and whatever else will happen to you. Snow, rain, and terrible icy cold wind. All right, so that takes care of the bottom half of my body as well as my body itself, what I wear from base layers to the jacket. Now let's get into something that you might overlook but will regret if you tend to do so. Gloves. Now I tend to wear a layer underneath my heavy outer shell. It's a thin glove like this, and this works well, or a slightly thicker glove. I take both of these with me, and one is just made by Burton, the other by Black Diamond, this one here, and it's just meant as a layer should you take your thicker glove off. Now it works. You put this on underneath. It's not too thick that it restricts your hand or is too thick to fit into your thicker outer glove, but it's nice to have. And if you do remove it for whatever reason, you still have a layer, a relatively warm layer against the outside extremities. Now, what glove do you get? And I've gone through this. The first time I went, I had a glove by Black Diamond called the Mercury Mittens. And I just found them not warm enough. My fingers were icy and I couldn't maneuver in them very well. As you know, thick, big mittens are not made for dexterity. And that's what led me to buying these for the 2023 trip. And this is a glove system made by Canada Goose. And I found them to work quite well. I didn't really have to use the outer shell all that much. It comes with an inner shell that looks like this. And this inner shell is nice and warm, and it worked very well for me. Although not very weatherproof, if it were to rain, you'd probably be quite cold. It's a soft shell material. But that's what the hard outer shell is for. It's also a little bit insulated. And the two together for me worked pretty well. But there were days, 1 or 2 days, where I was a little bit cold, and you know, last year in the Himalayas wasn't particularly cold, and I just think that the moment you open your fingers up like this, you're gonna run into cold problems. You're just opening yourself up for that. If you've been in cold places, you'll know. This is about the best glove or thickest glove that I know, where you have your fingers free. If there are any other ones, let me know in the comments. But I did enjoy this. It's very well made. It's not a cheap glove, but it's very well made, and it worked very well for my needs. So, not to be left in the cold, I did some research as to what the best other system would be, and came over these, the Outdoor Research Alti mitts, and they are, as mittens, so very, very different, as you can see. Yes, mittens are bigger. They're going to leave you with less movement, and it works still. I really do enjoy the mittens, because it does keep you warm. You're sitting all day watching something through a scope. Having these on definitely will help. It also comes with the inner system and this outer system. The outer glove is also insulated, so it will work. It's top quality. It's not cheap. They are rated as the warmest mittens you can get. Maybe they are warmer, but I'm going to put it to test, and I'll share information with you. I will tell you though, they are they fit too well, like just maybe too tight. And these are the extra large gloves. So in future, if you want to get a bigger glove, if you have really big hands, I've got pretty big hands. This was tough for me, but we'll see how it goes when it's cold. I do have the Canada Goose gloves as backup, but I think they're going to work pretty well. So these are the mittens that I went for. So having that inner glove, the inside glove in here, and then the outer glove, it's a 3-glove system that I wear. I find it works pretty well for most of your needs. I also didn't introduce you to my kids behind me. I have 2 little monkeys, vervet monkeys. This is Jack over here, vervet monkey number 1. Okay, go sit down. They wanted to be on YouTube. And back there is vervet monkey number 2, and they both wanted to be on YouTube. And say hello. Hi. All right, there you go. They promised they'll be still in the back, so don't mind them. So that's your gloves. Very important to have your hands protected, be warm. What's next? So now you got your feet warm, everywhere else warm, your gloves. What about your head, your neck, everywhere else? I think it's good to wear a buff. A buff works very well. I have a bunch of different buffs, merino wool buffs, wind protection buffs. Just in case, it's nice to keep your neck protected, and they don't take up space, and it's easy to pack. So buff is key, and I went with merino because it's a bit of the moisture wicking properties, and they are warm. Then on extreme days, I haven't really used this. I used it in Patagonia. We had an extremely windy, cold day, but it's a balaclava. This will work as well for those really cold days and windy days if you need it. This is by Burton, but it's an item that you can pick up from just about any brand, and this works out very well. The buffs, by the way, are from the Buff company, or just Buff. This is another buff. It's a very thick one, and so you can get all sorts of different buffs, from fishing buffs to cold weather gear. Pick up the one you need, and that's the one that will work for you. Next up, from a buff up, is your head. So as you come to the end, very simple, a beanie works very well. This one's not extremely warm, but it does work pretty well, and it's got the Tundra Africa logo on there, so that works well for me, as you can see. But the one that I've worn from the first time I went to cold places is this. It's called the Nordic heater from Fjall Raven, faux fur, and it is warm. It works like a charm. It looks great, so you can do great Instagram selfies with it as well if you want, but it also, most importantly, is warm. So this unclips, and you can wrap this around your head pretty easily, all the way down, and as you can see, all sides protected. And this is probably what I wear most of the time. I don't really wear a beanie all that much. I find I've got this on my head, and when it gets hot, I'll take it off. And it's also important, you don't often think about sun when you go to cold places, but I do have a cap, which is again a branded cap for when there are sunnier days, you just slip it onto your backpack, and you can even wear this over if you want to keep your peak out there. So you can wear this, you can close it up, and you have a peak up, your ears are protected, and it just works. On that note, remember your sunscreen. It's very important. Again, you don't think about that, but it often is very cold, but the sun is shining, and there's a lot of reflection from the snow very often, and you end up with sunburn in the snow. I know it is hard to believe. Now, there's one or two other items that aren't necessarily part of your clothing gear, as per se, but still will come in handy, and that is hand and foot warmers. I take a packet like this. These are from Hot Hands. You can get it, easily order it and ship it through to you, but it does work. I take extra with just in case my guests need. Most of them have their own. I doubt I'll need it for the boots because of those Baffin boots I have, but maybe for my gloves. And even to break open one or two, stick it in your pocket. It works, it stays warm all day long, and it is just another way to protect yourself from cold, especially in extreme destinations. So get them, they last for 4, 5, 6 years, a long shelf life, so you can reuse them if you don't finish them on this trip for a future trip again. And then lastly, something that you don't necessarily think about are really good sunglasses. I cannot stress this enough. Pass me that case quickly over now. So these are by a company called Vuarnet. It's a French brand, and I just got them. Now, previously I had sunglasses, and I promise you, in the snow, it is really bright. For somebody like me from South Africa, it was a massive surprise to feel just how bright that sunlight really is. And having good sunglasses, I didn't have bad ones, but they certainly could have been better. And these are about as good as they get. This is what they look like. You can go read up about Vuarnet in your own time as well. I'll share the link below. But they are the best mountaineering sunglasses for the purpose of what we're going to be doing in mountains, in the snow, in bright light all the time. You cannot buy better than this. And this is without the side shields. Now, when you look at what you get in here as well, you are able to clip these on. So they come with a little clip like this, and this leather piece clips in here and onto the inside. So now all of a sudden you have a protector from the sun. No light coming in from the side. It's very well protected. No light from the front, no light from the side, and actually works extremely well like that. You can choose whether you want them on or not, but I promise you, these sunglasses are made, it's the best actual glass of just about any brand in the world, and you will not be let down by these. And they look great, which also helps. But don't skimp on sunglasses. Your eyes, you're going to be out there all day long. Don't strain your eyes, protect your eyes, and preferably something like a mountaineering brand. If not Vuarnet, there's a few other ones that you can look at as well, but certainly if you want to get a pair of sunglasses you can wear anywhere, but especially in the mountains, then these are about as good as they get. And that is basically it from a clothing point of view. As you can see, that's my system. It's very well covered. I have multiple layers. I think I'll be warm enough. And I think that will be good for you as well, to consider what I've said here today in my personal experience to see if it works for you. I will say, what do I pack it in? It's not exactly clothes, but it does help as well. So I have a bag by the North Face. It's a large duffel bag that I've used quite a lot already, and it works pretty well. I make it red so I can see it when it's on the belt, and so I can explain to people that I have a red bag that's missing or that I'm looking for, instead of a black one, which everyone has. So this really helps, and it's done me well in the past, and it's big as well. And I just got another bag now from Fish Pond, thanks to Noah, who, one of my guests, he uses these bags. Again, nice and bright so I can see it. This is quite a bit more of a technical bag. It's got a lot of features on it. Fish Pond is a fly fishing brand and company, but I do love the bag and the design. It's also really light but strong. You can see everything on this bag is well made, and made to last. I'd say the only thing that I don't like on the bag is the fact that it doesn't lock, so I've had to devise something here Hopefully this works on the flight. We do lock our bags, but the zipper system is interesting. It's not a normal zipper, but it's meant to be waterproof and keep your gear dry. And let me tell you, invest in a good bag, especially when you're going to these kind of places. If you don't and you get there and your clothes are wet and stinky and you don't have, for example, in the Himalayas, a laundromat or a place where you can wash clothes in the camp, you're going to be let down and it's going to be a tough 10-day trip for you. So invest in a bag that's going to keep your gear safe and dry, very importantly. And that is basically it. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's answered some of your questions. Keep coming back for more content. Come back for part 2 of this where I talk about the camera gear. Ultimately, this Tundra Africa experience in search of snow leopards is a photographic one, so that's how I prepare, and I'll share more on the camera side of things and the technical gear in part 2. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or comments or advice. Like I said, this is not the holy grail. This is just in my experience, and I'd love to hear from you on little things that will make life easier, gear that you've found that works, pants, gloves, whatever it is. Leave it in the comments. Would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. As mentioned, my name is Marlon from Tundra Africa Safari Co. and appreciate you all and all the support. Subscribe, enjoy, and see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye. Come say bye.
Bye.
Rilla, come say bye. Quickly.
Bye. No.
Thank you.